We're up to page Shinayin Aleph. This sefer is a compilation of all what the Lubavitcher Rebbe spoke about the last two parakim of the Rambam. Be'ezer Hashem, at this time we're going to go through the sefer. But before we soon we'll go through the whole book in order. Now we're just going to start off. We're learning the last siman of the whole sefer, which here the Rebbe is basically, here I put together with Hashem's help, 5 different explanations that Rebbe gave why the Rambam ends off. Why does he choose the end of the whole Rambam to put over there the halachas of Moshiach? Why doesn't he put it anywhere else in the Rambam? Why is this the end of the whole Rambam? The first explanation the Rebbe asks, the Rambam says that there's 3 mitzvahs you didn't have when they go to Eretz Yisrael: to appoint a king, Shalosh mitzvahs nitztav Yisrael b'shas k'nisasam loretz, l'man Yisrael melech, v'achar kach l'achar yizar shel Amalek, v'achar kach l'vin his beis hamikdash. The order is to appoint a king, to get rid of Amalek, and after that to build a beis hamikdash. So, regarding a king and a beis hamikdash, what comes first? To appoint a king. After that comes the beis hamikdash. Why is the halachas of a king in the end of the whole Rambam and not before the halachas of the beis hamikdash? It's not in order.
So when they say appoint the king, do they mean in future time?
In general. The Rambam,
the halach in general.
I'm saying the Rambam, there's an order of fulfilling the Torah and mitzvahs. And the Rambam has an order the way he's setting up the sefer. He starts off with the Hilchos Moshiach Torah. This is the foundations of the Torah. So this comes first. There's an order. Why? So why is Hilchos Malachim in the end? It should have been, the order is before Beis Hamikdash. So the first answer that we explain over here is simple answer: is the end of a sefer means the completion of a sefer, complete. And the Rebbe doesn't give this example, but let's say you have a sefer Torah. So without the last word, the whole sefer Torah is not a kosher Torah. The end makes the whole sefer a kosher sefer. The end makes it a complete thing. Without this, it's a mum. But this thing gives it its completion. So the Rambam ends off the whole Rambam with Hilchos Malachim to show you that what's going to make the whole Rambam, the whole Torah, Kol HaTorah, complete Melech. The purpose of a Melech is not only to build a Beis Hamikdash, but the purpose of a Melech, like the Rambam writes, is Lahorim Das HaEmes. Lahorim Das HaEmes, to uplift the whole entire Yiddishkeit. And like it's understood that the way you're able to fulfill all the Torah and mitzvahs, all 613 mitzvahs, is dependent on a Melech. He makes the completion for the whole Torah and mitzvahs. The one that brought about the possibility to fulfill all the 630 mitzvahs was David HaMelech. As the first person to bring it. We'll explain this in much more length. It's in the first sermon over here. We're looking by the last. But that's the purpose of a Melech. Melech HaMashiach, Hilchos Moshiach, comes in the end of the whole Rambam, because the Rambam is coming to bring out when will we be able to fulfill the whole entire Rambam. When will, we have 613 mitzvahs. A guy, till he learns the last 2 parakim, you can't do anything almost. You could do 87 from the Ramach mitzvahs Asay. You could do only 1/5 from Torah and mitzvahs. So he ends off with Hilchos Moshiach to say this is going to make the whole Rambam complete. This is going to
the order based on Mikdash is after.
Even though it's after, but here he's saying a different nekuda, not the seder of the mitzvahs, but in the Maila, the Tachlis, exactly. When is going to make? What's going to bring about the completion of the fulfillment of the whole Rambam is when Mashiach is going to come. That is the simple explanation. Then the Rebbe goes even deeper. That's what we did yesterday. That this is more like Alpi, it's a whole deeper look. What's the whole idea of halachas of
he writes this here?
Yeah, this.
It's like the Rebbe's parish on the Rambam.
Yeah, I put it together with Hashem's help. I'm saying these are 5 explanations. One was printed in this volume of Likkutei Sichos. The other one was printed over there. One other one was printed in a footnote of a letter. The other one was printed in a. So it's all over the place. Like I could think, the Rebbe spoke about it one time, but when you put together all the different times the Rebbe speaks about it, so you get a whole different picture. You have one diuk, one inyan with 5 explanations. So yesterday we said 2 reasons. First reason is the whole idea of halachis. What's the idea of halachis? Halacha is to make things of the world to look the way the Eibishter wants it. A person without halachas can but the physical things of the world should be the way the Eibishter wants it to be.
But is it
you have a person.
The world, or is it the people?
It's both. It's both. It's the world with the people in the world. They should be the way the Eibishter wants. That's the whole purpose of halacha.
Like
That's more like Siddish words, but here the Rebbe is even using more niggledika words. Al cow. How does the Torah look at a cow? How does halacha want this cow to look? So the Eibishter wants, first of all, you should shech the cow.
How we affect the physical world?
Yes, the cow should be shechted, number one. Number two, you should take this klav, I make out of it tefillin and a sefer Torah and a mezuzah.
So the tachlis of the world
should be the way the Eibishter wants. So harabais, what's the Eibishter's look on harabais? That there should be a Beis HaMikdash over there, the way the Eibishter wants, with no Arabs over there.
The fulfillment of the world, the purpose of the world, you can only really see in Mashiach.
Right, so I'm saying, here the Rebbe is saying about halachas. What's the purpose of halachas? Halachas HaTorah is that it should be fulfilled in the world and change the world, that the world should look and be on the way the Eibishter wants the world to look. So that's the whole purpose of halachas. That's the whole idea of halachas.
Right, but that's Makayim through Mashiach.
Right. So why does the Rambam bring Hilchos? So the question is, why does the Rambam end off the whole Sefer Hayad with Hilchos Moshiach? L'cha'ira, the whole purpose, according to the Rambam, is Olam Haba. The Rambam says the Ikar Aschar. According to the Rambam, he says in Hilchos Shuv in Perik Tes, not in Perik Tes, Perik Ches, in Hilchos Shuv, and also Perik Tes. He says also in Perik Ches and Tes. He says that the peak is Olam Haba, which is an neshama without a guf. After no, that's Hilchos Malachim. That's yesterday. The peak of everything is Olam Haba and neshama without a guf.
Okay, the Rambam, he says
that it's a neshama with guf. Yeah. So if this is the Rambam's peak, he says Iker v'shtachas hashleimus of everything is Olam Haba. She should end off the whole Sefer Halachos with what's the peak? It should be l'chayra Olam Haba.
But that's the reward.
But what's the highest? You're saying that's chad. That's all.
This was a corridor for the next world.
Right.
But the quality next world is based on this world.
Right.
So it doesn't seem to be that the Ikar Halacha really is in this world.
Yeah. So that's the Rebbe's answer. The Rebbe is saying, what's the whole point of halachas? The whole point of a Sefer Halachas is not from the Shabbos in Gan Eden, because he can't do the halachas over there. Maybe you can learn about it. The whole purpose of halachas is this world should be the way the Eibishter wants. So therefore, he ends off, even though the schar is Olam Haba, but he ends off with the peak of the purpose of halacha, that the halacha should be fulfilled and change the world, that the world should look the way the Eibishter wants, and the peak of that, the Shamas Begufim, in this world, is Yemei Mashiach. Therefore, he ends off with Yemei Mashiach and now with Olam Haba, because that's not the whole purpose of halachas. So he's ending off a Sefer Halachas with the peak of halachas, the highest level of halacha.
Right, so the first was the Pashut reason was
this is the shleimus that you will be able to fulfill the whole Rambam. Here the Rebbe takes it a little deeper, the toichen of halacha, to change the world, that it shall be the way that the whole world will be conquered. Right. So the whole world will be conquered, and here, like the Rebbe says, in the deepest way, it's not only the world will serve the Eibishter, and but you could serve the Eibishter even better. You can have a mezuzah that's kosher, but it's not mahadrin. You have an esek that looks like a banana with 1,000 dots and looks disgusting, but it's kosher al pi halacha. A guy can bring a carbon from a menachos. He can bring with oil that's crushed. You don't need olive. You don't need the pure oil. You could crush olive and get, but that's not the most mehudadik way. Yemei Mashiach, what the Rambam is bringing out, that's the peak of the whole Rambam, that the whole world will be totally devoted to the Eibishter in the deepest way, in the most mehudadik way. The shleim is the way. That's why the Rambam is ma'arich, the way the whole world is going to look at this, because this is all bringing out how the whole world will fit with the Torah and be the way the Torah wants, in the deepest way.
So this is explaining
the second reason. The third reason that Rebbe explains is that the Rambam is coming to bring about the whole. The Rebbe says it's a remes. It's merumis. It can be not pashat of pshat, but it's a remes. What's the mile of the Rambam Sefer of halachas? The mile of Sefer, the Rambam Sefer of Halachas is more than other parts of Torah Shabbat Peh. Not only by other parts of Torah Shabbat Peh, it's even greater than certain parts of Torah Shabbat Ksav. Not Torah Shabbat Ksav, of Nevim and Ksuvim. Like the Rambam brings out at the end of Hilchos Megillah, he says that in La'asud Lo Ve'kol HaKsuvim, Kol Nevim and Ksuvim are going to be bottled. Besides for Chamisha Chomshei Torah and Halachas Shel Torah Shabbat Peh.
But Hanukkah and Purim will continue.
And Hanukkah and Purim will continue. That's mitzvah fulfilling it. That's another Indian. But he's saying mitzvah the scriptures, whatever. We have to. This itself it has different meanings. But this is what the Rambam writes. Kol HaKsuvim, Kol HaNavim, and Kol
I can still
HaKsuvim
understand because the Nevim Ksuvim
are all Letzavis Divrei Torah, right? And then we're not going to need it when Mashiach comes. We're going to right.
Okay.
He says Kol HaNavim, Kol HaKsuvim are going to be brought in the Mesa
It's
Mashiach.
interesting because Philo, the Greek, he only wanted to go with the 5 books. He didn't want to go with that.
So that itself is one of the emphasis is why the Rebbe explains where the Rambam says the Mashiach is going to be hoige b'Torah for oisik b'mitzvahs for Torah shebeksav shabei al peh. Rambam emphasizes the Mashiach is someone that is devoted and to Torah, to learning the Torah and the fulfillment of the mitzvahs, also according to Torah Shabbat and Torah Shabbat Peh. And one of the Rebbe's explanations, there is a few, but one of them is La'afuki, Christianity or whatever, those that are not Makabal Torah Shabbat Peh, that I'm going to emphasize the Mashiach is Dafka with Torah Shabbat Peh. But here we're saying a different Nekudah.
The Karaites.
Or whatever it is, all these other weird opinions, Mashiach is, but the Rebbe is Dafka Shoylul Yashka. Here the Rebbe is Shoylul, the Rebbe says it's Shoylul Yashka, that's what the Rebbe writes. The Rebbe writes the word Yeshu in the Sikha. Lishlul Yeshu. To be shoylel yashke. That's what the Rebbe writes. Why does the Rambam say kvitei Shabbat Peh? The Rebbe writes l'chayre tzarichin Michael Mashmalon, page Ayin Zayin. What is he coming to add by saying Torah Shabbat Peh? El Shabbat Behemshech l'Masha Kosev Shom Sev Alacha Gimel. When you see Ayin Zayin right over here, kvitei Shabbat Peh. The Rambam says kvitei Shabbat Ksav. Kvitei Shabbat Peh. So what is he coming to add? Torah Shabbat Peh, Torah Shabbat Ksav, Torah Shabbat Peh. Like this is basics, yeah. Like what are you coming to? This is you're talking about Melech HaMashiach over here. What do you need to say? Torah Shabbat Ksav, Torah Shabbat Peh. Elo Shabbat Behemshech l'Masha Kosev Shom Seif Halacha Gimel. The Rambam. This is in Halacha Dalid, the beginning of Halacha Dalid. And this is right after what he said in Halacha Gimel. What did he say over there? The censor cut it out. Anyone that adds, takes away, or he reveals a whole new pshat in Torah, and he takes away the pshat of the mitzvahs, from its pshat, this person is for sure a Rosh and Happy Kodesh. Who is the Rambam referring to when he's writing all of this? And that's why the censor cut it out, is because he's writing about Yeshua. That he Shamuva Lakaman Malachazu.
All the text had it, but it was taken out.
Yes.
Before we had
in all that, like that also, like that whole piece. Both of them were here, and it was taken out. So Shamuva Lakaman Malachazu. The Rambam speaks about him in this same halacha later on. Also, that was cut out of the censor.
Intrinsically, the necessity of Torah Shabbat Peh, but the reason Dafka it was included
is to be shoylel. About pizza.
Because that would mean if you didn't have these other groups, you wouldn't.
The Harvard president is resigning tomorrow.
If you didn't have, that would mean that if you didn't have these other groups, then you wouldn't necessarily need to Torah Shabbat Peh.
It would be a davar aposhit. You have to say a rov. Needs to know Torah Shabbat Peh. So what is your rov with learning Chumash?
Wait.
There's certain things you don't need to say because it's moving ma'atzmai. You're hiring a rov. You're getting rid of, and you're telling me this guy.
You're saying
this guy knows.
It's integral, but why do you have to go away to say it to the
right? Because here the Rambam was speaking about earlier in Halacha Gimel. In the end of this halacha, and it was also cut out through the censor. According to this, we can understand why the Rambam is ending off Halacha Gimel with this whole word. After the Rambam says Mashiach doesn't have to prove himself through performing miracles, prove that he's Mashiach. And then he doesn't need to. He says the main thing is that Torah is forever, and anyone that adds on the Torah takes away Torah is a Rasha Apikadis. And so how in the world is this following the Rambam? Mashiach doesn't need to make miracles. Okay, understand. And then right away telling me the main thing is Mashiach. The main thing is Torah is forever, and he can't change the Torah. He can add the Torah, and anyone that adds or changes a Rasha Apikadis. How does this fly in the Rambam? What does it have to do with the whole making miracles? So the Rebbe is saying, what's that has to do? Now it's understood, because the Rambam is writing about Yoshka. He was the one to add and change, and the Rambam over here, in this Perek, several times is coming to be Shoylul Yoshka.
Go on the next couple sentences.
According to this, it's also understood, or the Rambam ends up, the Kibbutz Nidche Yisrael, this guy is for sure Mashiach. And here's a very interesting diuk of the Rebbe. This is brought from the Kodesh Sichos Chelik Yud Gimel. You see in the end of each piece, it says exactly the source where I brought it from. Kodesh Sichos Chelik Ches and Chelik Yud Gimel, two places where the Rebbe says this.
So why does he have to bring in Mashiach Vadai here? What's the point?
So it could be like, what's his diuk? But Vadai, he's for sure Mashiach. The Choyr is coming to.
Because we're not so sure 100%, but if he includes Torah Shebal Peh, then we know for sure.
But not only that, like once his diuk is for sure Mashiach, when you see his connection to Torah and Mitzvahs, like you're saying, Shtickle, yeah. When you what do you need to, like what's this? What's not clear? What do you need to clarify to say that he's for sure Mashiach? So the simple way people would learn it is maybe he is Mashiach, maybe he's not Mashiach. But here the Rebbe is saying a whole different word. Here the Rebbe is saying more that he's for sure like the real Mashiach, and he's not the fake Mashiach. Verstehst?
You know, he's real as opposed to the other guy.
Yeah, right. So because the Rambam himself is mentioning this, he
He
is.
didn't have to say it, but it's more of the
Like the Rambam could have maybe just said he's a Mashiach or he's a whatever. Like what's this?
This is Vadai. But if you make a diuk, that means maybe it could have been Hetzka or Roy.
Right. Yeah.
Which
So that's the way. That's the way. No, for sure not. But here he's like, what do you need to be mavadai? What do you need to clarify 1,000,000%? How is a Mashiach bevadai? So and over here he said part of the simonim of Melech HaMashiach to know that he's talking Mashiach, that he's makabel Teresh Shemal Peh, Teresh Shemal Peh. It's coming to be shoylul a specific thing. It's a sign that he has to emphasize Teresh Shemal Peh. And so once he says that he Harei Mashiach bevadai, after he builds the Beis Hamikdash and he's a makabel Tzidcha Yisrael, so he's for sure Mashiach, which means, to a certain extent, I need to be ma'ayin in this, I have to say, because I for some reason, I didn't learn this in this specific piece, but the Rebbe might be saying, like, once he brings the completion of Torah and Mitzvahs, by building the Beis Hamikdash and taking them there to Yisrael, there's no suffix anymore. Verstehst? Once he gets up, you know for sure that he's Mashiach, and he has no shaykhs.
It sounds like you have to look at the makor over there and see the context.
Right. No, the Rambam is saying, most of it's liach. When it's a chol mishasvirov, Abana Mikdash b'mkei b'kibbutz Nidche Yisrael, Harei Zeh Mashiach b'vadai. The Rebbe is bringing dat. Harei Zeh Mashiach b'vadai. He is for sure Mashiach, and there's no suffix. There's no doubt at all in any way that there is a shaykhis to some
final pillar to make it muskam.
Yeah, right. That there's no right. Okay, so back to what we're saying over here. Now, Divrei Anavim and Ksuvim are going to be bottled in Beis Mashiach. But halacha shel Teresh Shemal Peh einu meteilim la'olam kechamisha chumash Torah. That's what the Rambam says. Which means when will we see? When is going to be revealed? When is going to be revealed the milah of the Rambam of a Sefer Halachos?
Still with the Mashiach on earth, or will be mavot?
No, he's talking about Yemaisa Mashiach. Once Yemaisa Mashiach, he says, "Kol Sifra Nevim, v'Ksuvim Asitim Libatel Yemaisa Mashiach." Besides for Chamisha Chumshe Torah.
So that's what the Rambam.
The Rambam says this, and Allah shall Torah Shemal Peh.
No Sekhem, what's his makor for that?
Okay. It's the Sekhem, if I remember correctly, are two right things. But I don't remember now offhand. But this is what the Rambam says.
Okay, go on.
Allah shall Torah Shemal Peh. are going to be lo'olam. When is it going to be revealed? A mile of halacha shal Torah sheba'al peh. A guy can learn Gemara now. He can learn Nevi'im, and there's also halacha. And there's a mile of halacha that you know what to do. But when is it going to be revealed? The mile of halacha, people are going to see, wow, halacha is greater than all the other parts. When they're going to be bottled and everything is going to be, and then you're going to see the mile of halacha this is going to be in Hilchos Moshiach. Therefore, the Rambam ends off the whole Sefer with like the peak to say when is it going to be revealed? A mile of this whole Sefer or of halacha shel Torah is in Hilchos Moshiach. That is the second answer. That's more merumas. That's the third answer, but the second of the Remazim, the deep, like the Rebbe writes. So merumas b'lashon Rambam. He's not. The Rebbe is not saying this is mamish pashta pshat, but it's merumas. Okay, now the next answer. This is Gimel. It's not that Rambam davke besim lechoisem sifrei amam lematzav shel Hilchos Moshiach hu ki la'achar she'ha'adam kvar lomad kol halachas ha'Torah ve'evin shel halachas halachas nikeres ha'maylo ha'atzmus shel halachas ha'Torah shezo in Hilchos Moshiach. Okay, so there the Rebbe said. The Rebbe is going to explain this right now. This is the Rambam ends off the whole Rambam talking about Mashiach. Is because only after someone learns all the halachas of the Torah, he could understand, he could see the mile of Hilchos Moshiach, the mile of halachas of Torah. He needs this hakdama of learning the whole Rambam to get to the last two parakim. But be reunion. Halachas Torah, Teichen Sefer Hayad, halachas based in Yonim Klalim. In the idea of halachas, there's two in Yonim. What's the idea of halachas? Number one, Aleph, Tzivuyim v'hayirois laha'adam, b'neikel l'anhaga ba'ilam. Over Meile, first thing is that the Torah is here for the world. The world is a Metzius, and the halachas of the Torah are given to the world to tell us how we should act. So for sure, the world, the person is a Metzius. I exist, the world exists, everything exists, and the Torah is here as an added thing. Base, what is halachas of Torah? What is halachas? This is Hashem's desire, which Hashem was here. It's Alpayim Shana, I think the Rebbe brings it here. Yeah, V'lashon Chazal, Shabbos Beches, Chamuda, Knuza, Sheknuza Lacha, Koydim Shaniv Ra'il. Before there was a world, before there was anything, there was already the Torah, which means the Torah is not here for the world, and the world's of Metzitz, it's coming later. The world is here for the Torah. That's the second way.
Yeah, the Gemara brings there are several things that existed before.
Right. Alpayim Shana Kadma Torah Le'ilam. I think Shmoshel Moshiach. No?
Wow, so it's two things. It's either the name or the Ruach.
Ruach, yeah, right. Ruach Elokim Rechaves Al Pnei Hamayim, it's even before, right.
And if you take that phrase, if the Baal Torah brings us the gematria of what is it?
Right. Where's the Gemara?
Of I think either Ruach or Shemesh. I have to.
Okay. So now there's two idioms of halachas ha'Torah. U'mistaber she'ba'aschol aslimud halachas ha'Torah ikar ad gosho ala tzivuyim v'ha'yirois laha'adam v'negel anhaga b'olam. V'rak k'shemashlimim halimud the kol halachas ha'Torah az ein ikeres u'mudgeshes be'ikar ha'maylo ha'atzmis ta'halachas ha'Torah l'tzeinu shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The Rebbe says in Besvara, it seems that when a person starts off to learn the halachas of the Torah, before his head is filled up with the Eibishter is a rotzin, what does the Eibishter want? He starts off, the main thing that his emphasis is that he's a Metzius, he exists, and here he's learning what's the Torah telling him how he should act. But after the person learns the whole entire Torah, he comes to the realization that what's really halachas of Torah, this is the Eibishter's rotzin. So here the Rebbe explains another.
Even on the Pasha level, he knows that this, the mitzvahs are what Hashem wants.
Yes, but it's what the Eibishter wants. But he exists, and it's like the L'kol Alma. According to both ways, you can look at halachas. It's sivuim of the Eibishter.
Right.
But what's Eikar over here? Me or the Eibishter? Is it that I was created through the Eibishter and I don't exist? Right? There's two Geresois. I need Ivreisi, the Shamish is Koini. That I was created, I exist, and I was created to serve the Eibishter, to Oir Zerua and Kedushin. He says over there, I need Loi Nivreisi, Ela the Shamish is Koini. It's not that I need Ivreisi, I exist. That's number one. It for sure exists. And now I'm going to use it out. L'shamash eskoini. Ani lo nivreisi means I don't exist. I wasn't created. Ela l'shamash
We're
eskoini.
talking about in the end we're built on the Kodesh Baruch Hu.
Right. But here I'm just saying this. What says ani lo nivreisi? Ela l'shamash. There's not that there's a
Only
mitzvah
created for
to serve them. Ani nivreisi l'shamash eskoini means ani nivreisi. Ani nivreisi. L'shamash eskoini. But when you in the end, but when you think ani lo nivreisi, ela l'shamash eskoini means there's no mitzvahs here besides for serving the Eibishter. So I'm saying, how do you look at halachas HaTorah? Is there a world? There's a mitzvahs, there's other things, and the Eibishter is giving it tzivuyim, or like we're saying that the Torah is here way before the world was created, before heaven.
It has to be the second way. But you're saying in the beginning.
But when a person starts to learn, it's the first. It's me, and the Torah is here telling me what to do. But after a person learns the whole Torah, it changes his perspective because he learned so much. Whatever, there's a whole arichas in that sikha, but we're just like
That's what Chassidus came for, is
to bring this level of bittul, etc. Right. So, but here
talk about that later, because it doesn't really mean nullification. It means that you're really connecting to the real part of your view, which is really a Shem.
Right, yeah. Right, so there's in this sefer, right, but in the sefer, this Indian is brought out many, many times. This Nakuda that you just said is brought out many ways. Jacobson brings it out, right. But it's like there's a
sefer written on in English on I think Hanukkah that says it's wrong to say like self-nullification. It's really not the proper understanding of it, even though that's the pashut of bittul.
So I'm saying there's the way that Rebbe says over here. There's two states. There's two stages. A guy that's a Farai guy that's in the street. So you can't. So on one hand, you can't just say, okay, so you're the Eibishter, you're his.
That level has the bittul.
There needs to be a level of bittul, and after he has this bittul, he could come to the Hakara that his Metzias is totally one with the Eibishter, so he's not a Metzias.
So
really. His Metzias is the Metzias of the Eibishter.
It's the truest self-expression.
Yeah, but that comes only after. Okay, so here the Rebbe is explaining another diuk. But according to what we're saying now, and this is going to explain this idea, the Rambam, two places speaks about Mashiach, in Hilchos Tshuva, in Parik Tes, and in the end. In both places, the Rambam brings a pasuk, Mola ha'aretz deyes Hashem. But in Hilchos Tshuva, the Rambam does not bring the end of the pasuk, Kamayim layom b'chasim. But in the last, the pasuk in Yeshaya, it says, Mola ha'aretz deyes Hashem, the world is going to be filled with the knowledge of the Eibishter.
Parak 11?
Yud Aleph, yes. Pasuk Tes. He says the world is going to be filled with the knowledge of the Eibishter, Kamayim layom b'chasim, just like you look at the ocean, and you don't see nothing besides for the water. So too, the world is going to be filled with the knowledge of the Kamayim b'chasim. But in Hilchos Tshuva, the Rambam says, Mola ha'aretz deyes Hashem, and he stops. He doesn't end off the pasuk, Kamayim layom b'chasim. But the layom b'chasim, Kamayim layom b'chasim. Like the water covers over the whole ocean, you just see water. So too, you're going to look at the world, you're just going to see Deis Hashem and the Beis Mishach. So in Hilchos Tshuva, he doesn't say Kamayim layom b'chasim. But in the last halacha, he ends off Mola ha'aretz deyes Hashem Kamayim layom b'chasim. That's the end of the whole Rambam. He brings the words Hilchos Malachim. So why doesn't he say it in Hilchos Tshuva? And he does say it in the last halacha. So according to what we're saying over here, the Rebbe is going to explain this diuk, why it's not in Hilchos Tshuva and why it is in the last halacha. And according to this, we can understand why this whole idea of Mashiach is in the end of the Rambam. Because you could speak about Mashiach in such a way only after you learn the whole Torah. After you finish Kol halachos HaTorah, only then you can stick in Hilchos Moshiach and Kamayim. Only then you can reach this madrega. Let's see, Hilchos Tshuva.
Why did you do the whole thing by Tshuva?
He doesn't say it. That's why in Hilchos Tshuva he doesn't say it.
He doesn't say by Tshuva.
He doesn't say it. He says it only in the end.
He says by Malachim. Okay.
Right. Hilchos Tshuva. It's in the beginning of it's in Sefer Amada, the first book for the 14 books. Because shenirgash mitzius v'gidrei ha'adam v'ha'olam shebahalachas ha'Torah tzivuyim v'aylos le'ha'adam penegel anhaga ba'olam. ולכן השלימות שיוכל להגיע אליה אינה אלא באופן דמלא הארץ דייס השם שגם כאשר האדם והעולם הם מלאים בדייס הוויה הרי זה בגדרי האדם והעולם מלא הארץ שבצידם יש אפשרות לעניין ההפך לצעירי ולכן צריך להסיר את התשובה. Let's just read it and we'll explain it. B'Sheikir b'Hilchos Moshiach. Shebesiyum v'chosim sefer hayad. Bekeven shalim adu be'even shemud k'shebeikar ha'mayla ha'atzmis. Ta'alachas ha'teira. Ritzoyni shal HaKadosh Baruch Hu shal ha'mayla megidrei ha'adam v'ha'olam. Abeyachad im zeh. Pa'ulas shiroi b'ha'adam v'ha'olam shebetzad gidra meheim. You kfir ritzoyni shal HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Harei ze be'even shegidrei ha'adam v'ha'olam nasim k'gidrei ha'teira. K'mayim la'yom ha'chasim. Here what the Rebbe is saying is like this. The beginning of what's the difference? The Rebbe, this is a token out of a whole full sikha, but there the Rebbe says, what does Mallah ha'aretz deis Hashem mean? You have a cup, I can fill the cup up till the top. Mallah ha'aretz, I can fill it up, but the cup is still a cup. I'm not being mavatal the cup's mitzvahs. I see a cup, the cup is full, and it's filled up with whatever you're putting into the cup. What does Kamayim L'Yom HaChasim? I'm taking this cup and I'm throwing it in the ocean. And I don't see anything but the water.
What's machasim?
To cover, machase.
Machasim.
So in Hilchos Shuvah, when that's in the beginning, so now, what does Mallah Ha'aretz Deis mean? The person's a Metzias, and he's being filled with the knowledge of the Eibishter. You're not saying that you're taking this person and you're throwing him into an ocean, and he's being covered over with water. So Hilchos Shuvah, when it's still in the beginning of the learning, the beginning of Halachas HaTorah, you still see the Metzias of a person, you still see the Metzias of the world. The person is not totally bottled, so what are you bringing out? You're bringing Mallah Ha'aretz Deis Hashem. But after someone finishes learning all the halachas of Torah, he comes to the realization that the Eibishter is the real Metzias. Not that there's a world and there's a person and he's here, and the Eibishter is here for him, but he's here for the Eibishter. So then he comes to this understanding of Kamayim L'Yom HaChasim, that it's totally covering over the person. And here the Rebbe is saying that the Kudah you mentioned also, that Mitzad Echad, it's not only that you're being Mavatal the whole person, the person is being nullified. The Rebbe says, it's totally above the limitations of the person and the world. Together with this, that it's the Eibishter's Ratzon, that's here before the world was created and before everything. It's hachar from the Hagbolus of a person and the world. It's just like the ocean. Nevertheless, Pa'ulas Shinui Beha Adam Veha Ilam Shebitzad Gidra Meheim, the person and the world, the way they are in their limitations, with their boundaries, they should be with the way the Eibishter wants. But what's emphasized over here, that Ani Lo Nivresi Ala L'Shamash Koini. His whole Metzias here is just for the Eibishter, not that the Eibishter is here to
it's the same idea.
And now here, right, and like what you were saying, like the Gedorim of the person, his limitations are the limitations, and everything, it's Torah. His whole Metzias is the Metzias of Torah. L'Yom HaChasim, Kamayim L'Yom HaChasim, just like the Yam is covered with the water, so it becomes the whole Metzias of the world. Like the Rebbe explains somewhere else. Sameach also says the same thing.
The person not overwhelmed and covered up, but it
becomes part of his Metzias. He's not the kapatz. This is not explained by Hilchos, but the Rebbe explains this by Hilchos in many other places. That the ocean,
it's like becoming one with Hashem.
Right, one with Hashem, and it becomes your Metzias. That's why he explains the fish in the water. Rabbi Gamliel says, a fish, a guy toivels in water, and the fish is touching him. Is it a chatzitza? No, because he says any Metzias that was created from the water is like water itself. So the Rebbe says it somewhere else. The Rebbe asks in a different sikha, but it's in the Sefer. The Rambam says, the Rebbe asks, it's a stira. The Rambam says on one hand, when she has in a comment, v'yasigu das boidom k'fi koyach. A person is going to grasp the Eibishter. V'yasigu das boidom k'fi koyach, according to the person's koyach, person's limitation. What does v'yasigu mean? The Rebbe brings from Tanya, soga means that a person's brain wraps around the thing that he's learning. So who's being machasa what? The person is being machasa is Deis Hashem. Then the Rambam continues the other way around. That the Deis Hashem is going to cover you over. So it's a stira. How could he bring Kamayim L'Yom HaChasim in a place when he's emphasizing that the person is going to be a Metzias, and he's going to be V'yasigu das boidom k'fi koyach ha'adam. So basically, the Rebbe explains that this is the answer. This same nekuda, that when Mashiach is going to come, the whole metzius of the person, is going to be one thing with the mayim, with the machatzim. He's not going to be two separate. It's not he's a metzius.
It's like in Gan Eden, the tree is the fruit.
Tam eitze v'pirye shava, right? Ha'etz nachal before chet eitz adas, right? So. Yeah, so he's a metzius that's understanding the Eibush, but it's not a stira at the same time to be bachasa, because he is the metzius of the water. Just like the fish, he's a part of the water. He's the metzius of the water. So his metzius is not a stira, it's not a contradiction to knowing the Eibush. Okay, we sing in Achak Sas. Hachiluk shebein ascholas halimud l'shleimus halimud ascholas v'sim hasefer hu al derech u'vedugmas hachiluk shebein nigla detera l'pnimis hatera. Like you said this point also, Bashkacha Pratis, Baruch Shekevanta. What's Pnimis HaTorah coming to bring out? Sheben Nigla de Torah, Halachas Vedini, HaTorah Kipshuta, Be'ikar Adgosha, Hi Al Gidrei HaOdam V'Olam. Vilu Be'Pnimis HaTorah, Hasagas V'Yidias Elokus, Das Elikei Avicha, Ikar Adgosha, Al Elokus Shebetorah. Shal Yoda Mishtanim Gidrei HaOdam V'Olam, Gidrei HaElokus. Aber der Achbamela Nishlalis Hav Sharus, Leinin Hepech Ritzainoi, Havlashin Chazal, Hamoid Shabo Magzir Lamutov, Valatachas Shleimus Kamaim Lo Yamachas. So what's the difference between the beginning of the learning and the end of the learning? There's a difference between Nigla Detated and Pnimis HaTorah. In the
light returns to good, what is it?
Hamoid Shabo, Chazal say, and the Rebbe brings a couple of modern claims over here, but it says a person learns Torah. Even if a person is learning Shalom L'Shmai, she'll learn it anyways. Why? Because eventually, Hamoid Shabbat Machzir L'Mutov.
I think it's from Pasuk in Zechariah, where Hashem says, "Forget about me only if you learn the Torah." Because the Torah. Here,
like the Rebbe brings to Yerushalmi. Look, you want to see? Rebbe says, "Yerushalmi." Look what did Yerushalmi say? The Chagig on this Hamoid Shabbat, Hamor of the Haaretz. Why was the land of Eretz Yisrael left and got burned and it became like a desert? Because they left my Torah. They left my Torah. Oisi Azavu. They left my Torah.
This is where he says, keep my Torah, because the Torah.
It's Terasi Shamaru. Shilu Oisi Azavu v'Terasi Shamaru. There's some typos I think it looks like over here. I need to fix this. He says they left me because if they would learn my Torah, eventually the moed of the Torah would make them closer to me.
I think it's Zechariah.
Yeah, right. He's bringing it down over here, right? So the Korban Eida explains what does it mean? Moed Shabbat, Pirush Remez L'Soides HaChochba. This is ending to the secrets of the Torah. But so if we need it, so yeah, it's the attack. It says Asoir Shabbat. Was a mistake. I thought I made a typo because it says Asoir Shabbat. So the Korban Eida says Li nida the Hachi got a sin in Amoir Shabbat. V'chein hu Merabba Eicha Perik Beis. In Eicha Rabba in the Medrash it doesn't say Asoir Shabbat. It says Amoir Shabbat. And what's Amoir Shabbat? It says it's going on Soidis HaTorah. So in the Torah itself there is a Soidis of the Torah. This is what the Korban Eida says over there. So Nigla the Torah is mainly emphasizing the Gedorim of a person, the world, that they should be the way the Eibishter wants. But the main emphasis is speaking about the world, the person's chiyuvim of the world. Pnimis HaTorah is mainly speaking. The Soidus HaTorah Amoir Shabbat is mainly speaking about the Eibishter, which through learning these in Yom of the Eibishter, this changes the person and the world that they should be. You should. What does it mean? You're changing for Elokus. If a person learns Pnimis HaTorah, whatever saying, where he starts to see, like one of the main yisoidis of the whole Pnimis HaTorah, the Baal Shem Tov says, that your words are standing forever. So the Baal Shem Tov says, what does it mean? That the words of the Eibishter, the 10 Commandments, that the Eibishter created the world with, are standing. That the world was created. These words is what creates the world, and these words are standing forever, and they're in the world and making the whole world exist. What's making this table exist? The words that the Eibishter said in our set of Babaris is in the world. Basically, when someone learns Primus Atay, he starts to understand the Eibishter is not somewhere in Shemaim, and this world is. He starts to see how the Eibishter is here in this physical world. So basically, this changes the world to become Elokus. In other words, the way you look at the world in the way of Elokus. Which this is the idea of Kamayim Layom Achas. Everything is covered over with Elokus. So the Nekuda that we're saying over here, the explanation that we're saying over here is that what's the difference between the beginning of the Rambam and the end of the Rambam? Why is the Rambam choosing the end of the Rambam to speak about Mashiach? Because in the beginning of the Rambam, what's the emphasis? Nigel the Torah, the world's a Metzius, v'chulu v'chulu. The end of the Rambam, after he learns the whole halacha, he's coming to see the way it's from the Eibishter's perspective, that the Eibishter is the real Metzius, and the whole world is here for the Torah, for the Eibishter, and that's going to be revealed when are we going to see this? In Yemei Mashiach. So to speak about these type of stuff, of reaching these high levels, is only after you reach that level and when you're learning about it. When you learn Kol HaTorah, so the Rambam is finishing off the whole Rambam, so you can already start talking about, the you know what I'm saying, the bottom. Now also, let's see order 36, just interesting, the Kudah, that Rebbe explains also another reason why in Hilchos Tshuva, the Rambam doesn't say Kamayim L'Yom HaChasim, but he does say it in the end of the Rambam. Page Shinai Aleph, order 36. Over here. L'hoyir shebetshuva legabi Torah mitgeshes metzius ha'adam shekol inyana sheha'adam eisid tshuva avodim al mata l'mayla. The whole idea of tshuva is emphasizing the metzius of the person, that the person is doing tshuva. To say it's Torah the way it was given, right? There's a whole thing. Adam, they asked the Torah, shalu l'chachma, shalu this. What should a person do if he did an aveda? Basically, Torah is about mayla l'mata. Torah was given for the Eibishter here. Tshuva is that the person does tshuva on his Avedis. So here tshuva is emphasizing much more the metzius of a person. Therefore, you can't say Kamayim L'Yom HaChasim, or like the Rebbe explained, which is going on total bittul, which is.
Tshuva legabi Hilchos Malachim.
That's why it's not in Hilchos Tshuva Kamayim L'Yom HaChasim, but it is in Hilchos Malachim. Because Hilchos Tshuva is emphasizing the person's whole metzius, the person's metzius, that he's doing tshuva. So over there you can't say Kamayim L'Yom HaChasim, which is showing on the water that's covering over everything. So that's another Nakuda, another explanation of why it's in the end of the whole Rambam, which this is also the third beer, Alpi Pnimius, the fourth beer in general. Okay, let's stop over here, yeah?